Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. Today I am joined by someone who has built one of the most distinctive personal brands in the business funding world, Sarah Abel, also known as the Funding Godmother. Sarah has turned what can often feel like a dry or intimidating topic, government funding, into something exciting, empowering and completely accessible. She's helped salon owners, educators, digital course creators unlock millions in funding to grow their businesses. And along the way, she's built a personal brand that's instantly recognizable, trusted, and full of energy. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, I'm really excited about this, Sophie.
I've got lots of questions to ask you. Now, you're known as the Funding Godmother. It is such a distinctive title. How did that name come about, and what impact has it had on how people see you and your business?
I think I had to stand out, and I think it was somebody else that suggested it to me, and I was thinking, because when I decided to build my personal brand, and that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was all by accident, if I'm really honest. COVID happened, didn't it? I needed to keep in touch with the businesses that we were working with. I formed a Facebook group and then ended up going in there talking about grants, funding that people needed at the time. And I realised how people didn't really know. And somebody said to me in there, "You're like the godmother of funding." And it was like, okay, that sounds really cool. Yeah, that's the word. And it was either godmother or fairy godmother. And I didn't, fairy's just not me. So I thought, no, I like godmother. It's like strong, and it's like, I mean, I've been in business nearly 25 years, and I think, resilience through some really, really tough times. I thought godmother sounds like, yeah, I know, it's empowering, isn't it? It's from a woman's identity, it's empowering, especially coming from the hair and beauty sector. I thought all the skills that I teach are transferable to any business, but I wanted it to be I didn't want it to be about just hair and beauty anymore. I wanted it about across the board. So yeah, that's how it came to it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And funding can seem like a dry or intimidating topic, but you are making it exciting. How did you find that voice and style? Like, how have you made it interesting?
I think potentially that is who I am. So I'm just so authentic of who I am as a person, and I'm very open about business in general. And I think what I find with most business owners, they're really, really scared of debt. They're scared of, and coming from a background where I was £75,000 worth of debt at one point, and paying all of that off and growing the business to seven figures, it's like, I can really relate to how they felt, and it was intimidating for me, but I didn't have a choice. So it was like, okay, I need to go out and find money to grow my business. And when I started stepping into that arena, I realised just how many different pots there is. So, it isn't just from government. There's money out there from the Ministry of Defence, the Ministry of Justice. There's money from job centres. There's money from venture capitalists. There's money from people that, like big private businesses that want to fund you from a social responsibility thing. And a lot of people don't tackle those things. And what I realised quite quickly was actually it's because they don't know how to build their business correctly in the first place. So then when they do pitch, they haven't got the figures and all the stuff that they want. So because I've pitched to big councils, I've pitched to, we've written tenders, I know the specifics that they want, and I know what they're looking for. So I think once you know all of that stuff, it makes the whole thing so much easier. And then it's all about actually having that marketing and sales machine behind you to fill the places. Because if you don't spend it, because just because it's funding, people think, oh, okay, funding is, like if I'm running a course, people are just going to buy it. Well, that isn't necessarily the truth. Do you know what I mean? And you can use it for all different things. I've built my whole team using funding streams. Do you know what I mean? So like every single course, every single person in my business goes on some kind of funded course to ensure that everybody's the same, and it standardizes everything. So the procedures and the policies and stuff like that. So for me, it began to be, okay, so how can I go out there and share my story? Because if I share my story and also the people's lives that we've changed, which is my biggest purpose. Okay, the fact that, you know, I'm sitting on a beach one day and had a text from, you know, a lady who said to me, oh, 4 years ago we came to you and I started my business, and now I'm, you know, I've got my own salon I'm employing 4 or 5 people, made me really excited, because she would never have been able to do that if it wasn't for me finding that money in the first place. So I think that's how I talk about it. I talk about mindset all the time, because I think it's a massive thing in business, because I think the only thing that stops people from moving on the next level is how they think. And the reason I know that is because I've done it. You know, like, I am the proof, the social proof of that it can be done. And, you know, I didn't come from a big education, any of those things. So I've sort of taken all those barriers away, and I think people relate to that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm quite good at, I'm quite personable, I think. Well, I know I am. You know, people do tend to, I tend to listen to them. And I think one of the things, coming from a sales and marketing background myself, I think, you know, you're looking for somebody's need. What do they actually want out of it? And I think that's the same with any pots of funding. I've always gone, well, what does the funder want out of it? And what does the person that's going to use that funding want out of it? And then, you know, putting it together. So when I share my stories, that's what I share. I share about people that have actually been successful with it. And yeah, and that's probably how I've made it sexy.
So relatable as well, isn't it? It's, you know, people can see themselves in you, and you've kind of walked that walk. I love it. Now, you've been featured in outlets like the BBC and The Sun. How have those opportunities shaped your credibility and visibility for your brand?
Massive. That's been massive for us. Spending money on PR has definitely been a game changer, because I think, especially when you're talking about government money, people want proof. And I think, you know, when the BBC came to the Academy and then they filmed all of the people that we were helping, it was their stories, basically, not my stories. And there was, like, you know, women there who were like, I've done this because of this, this and this and this. And that made, you know, that it wasn't about me anymore. It was about actually the impact that we have on everything. It also has helped me from a funding point of view. So whenever I have, like, people like Ofsted or the ESFA, or, well, it's not that now, they're called the Skills Education DFE now, and it's changed and gone to that. But all of those people, it's shown, because they want to see that funding that they're giving people is being used to actually have an impact on society. So having those stories that I can share in the newspapers, etc., that's a really good thing for me.
Do you think it's people have read it in, you know, if you've been in the paper or whatever, or been on TV, have people seen it in real time and then messaged you afterwards? Or is it more that people have come across you and what you do, then they Google you and see what you're all about, and then the stuff?
Both. It was really funny. The reason that I decided to build my personal brand more than anything was because I was listening to Kelly Lundberg actually once, and she did a presentation, and she was saying, right, I want you all to go onto Google and put your name and see if it comes up, and nothing came up. And now if I put into ChatGPT, it's dead scary. Do you know what I mean? But even I put into Google now, you know, it comes up with Sarah Abel, and I'm near the top of quite, you know, like if I put Sarah Abel in, I'm, even on LinkedIn, I'm high, do you know what I mean, compared to what I was before. And I think people, I know myself, when I look when I'm looking to work with somebody, I will always put them into Google to see, you know, see just if they are the proof that they say they are. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there at the moment claiming certain stuff, and I think you need to, if you're going to work with somebody, you need to know they know their stuff. And I do. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I always did, but we were never found. Whereas now we're being found, and people have, you know, like, even in my area where I live, which is in Kent, even my team, when they're going out now and doing events, people come up to them and say, "Oh, I've heard of T&B Skills Training." At one time, that just didn't even come up. Do you know what I mean? So, I do think that my brand has actually, the personal brand has pushed T&B skills training, definitely.
Perfect. You should be a spokesperson for my business, because obviously that's what we do for founders, and you're a great example of how that's worked and the impact that's
A
had.
really good decision for me, a real good decision. I'm so glad we did it. And I've had so many opportunities since, like I'm judging the Flamingo Awards, I'm speaking on stage, I'm going to I've been asked to speak on numerous events. I spoke to Ideas Fest. You're getting those opportunities because I can now send over my speaker and that's another thing, having a speaker sheet that you can send over to someone and say, like, this is the credibility I've got and this is what other people have said about me, has a massive impact. So people think, actually, yes, you are, and then they Google you and your name comes up, and then it's just
Linked,
easier to get positions. So yeah.
Hello, it's Max here from the Moja team, interrupting this episode to bring you some important Moja news. We're making moves to get you known in 2026 by launching the Get Known Club. The Get Known Club is our new members community for founders and professionals who are great at what they do but could use a little help getting seen. Each month you'll get straightforward training, practical templates and a supportive community to help you to show up with confidence and consistency without the overwhelm. Join the waitlist and you'll also get access to the Get Known Game Plan, a free 90-minute masterclass which will help you to plan your 2026 visibility strategy. Head over to the show notes for the link and let's make sure that next year people actually know just how cool you are.
And you're quite active on social media as well. So for me, I always say that all the stuff that we've just spoken about there is the substance and the quality that you can then share on social media. Social media is like the last bit that just amplifies it even more. What kind of content is working really well for you at the moment, and on which platforms?
Okay, so I would say LinkedIn seems to be really working at the moment. It's really working well for us. Being fair, for a long time it was Facebook and Instagram. Facebook still works, do you know what I mean? And Instagram, we still get leads from that all the time. Facebook ads, etc. We do a lot of that. But I would say, like, especially when I'm networking, when I go out networking and they look at you on LinkedIn, it's so much credibility for that. And even I've noticed recently I'm having much more messages, and they aren't just trying to sell to me. There's messages that want to speak to me or asking for our training. So yeah, I think LinkedIn's definitely the new platform for me, and I have only been on there very recently, but I didn't feel, if I'm really honest, without the PR, I didn't feel I had the credibility, which is not right. But that's it was like I liked the PR bit first, because then it was like, well, this is my story, and having somebody work with you who will perfect that. So, and this is what people want to know about you, Sarah, rather than me look at it. Do you know what I mean? That was a really good use of time and money.
So what kind of stuff are you putting out on LinkedIn?
So I'm mainly a bit of combination. So a little bit about what I know about funding, because I think it has to be, that's what we do. But I do put some personal stuff on there as well about, like my perception on life, like values and missions and statements, because I think people do like to know the person behind the brand. Like I think one of the biggest mistakes most businesses work is think that they don't need to be the face of the business, because I do think it amplifies the business massively. I know myself, when I go to buy from certain brands, there are things that would stop me because of the person. Do you know what I mean? Behind the brand. So I think if you can show who you are, and especially for us, because ours is a mission rather than just taking money. It's about actually changing people's lives for the better. Our mission statement is empowering creative minds to build a lifelong legacy. That is our mission statement. The brand is all about that. So for me, it's very important that I get that message out, and who we stand for, what our values are, and they're very specific.
So you've written a book, The Power of Funding. What has publishing a book done for you? What kind of doors has this
massively opened? Because now when somebody comes to us and says, especially for sort of like the consultancy side, and like if people want to get access to funding themselves or they want to start using it, the book is my basically how I built that business, and it's called the roadmap. There's a whole roadmap in there, so everything from the financial health, all of that, right the way through to the policies, procedures, and everything that you need. But it's not boring. It's about my story. So it's like I did this and this went wrong, and then I did this and this went wrong. So people can sort of see that I am a human being, and that I'm not sort of like, I can run a business, but I haven't just got there. It's been so I even write in the book, I think it's like something like, I want you to read this book so you don't make the mistakes I made.
Exactly.
And that has definitely helped. So when someone very first hears about me, that's the first thing I talk about. I say, look, go and read my book. It's called Roadmap of Funding. It's on Amazon. I think it's about $10.99. I went, go and read it. And then we'll know when I get onto a call or a discovery call with somebody to actually help them, they know about me already. So it's not a sale. It's more of a, well, how much is it? And have I got the budget for it? Which is a completely different conversation, because they know I can help them with their needs.
And they've bought into you because they feel like they know you from reading that, and they've heard your voice through it.
Totally.
I get it. Love it. Many founders hide behind the business name, don't they, for fear of putting themselves out there. What would you say to someone who knows that visibility does matter, but they're still hesitating to be that face of the business?
I mean, like I said to you, I was sitting on that beach and I had that text from that girl. If I hadn't gone out there and shared my story, 4 years ago, would she have trusted me enough, do you know what I mean, to come to me and do it? Because, like when we're promoting any of our courses that we have, I'm telling them that they're fully funded through the government. So it's like, do they trust me? It's like, well, I don't know who you are. I mean, college is fine, but you're a private training provider. Is this a scam? Is there, because one of the biggest objections that we get as a business is, what's the catch? Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone asks us that. So and the catch is you have to put time and effort into it, and I'm not just talking about doing courses. I mean, we've got money for doing the whole of our training academy up before. We've had investor money where people have invested in us when we wanted to buy a CRM system. So it's not just about like training courses, it's the whole picture, the different pots that I've got done. So I think being able to actually share that with people, how I'm actually now helping so many people to be able to do the same, because I knew that it held me back. I know the growth that we've had is because we've been able to access pots of money to grow us quicker, because you need to invest back money in your business, but you need cash flow. And sometimes you want to keep that money in the business so that if you don't sell as many courses as what you were that month, there's that cash in the business. So by not taking it out and using somebody else's money, there's a cost to that sometimes, but it's relevant. When I think we had £100,000 off our local council to expand, and the interest rate on that is nothing. It's 0%, but one of the things was we had to create X amount of jobs from it. So there's always going to be things that they're looking to get out of it. And if you can demonstrate you can do that by whatever you're doing, then they're going to be able to give you some money towards that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a training business. It could be that you're going to employ 4 or 5 extra people in your business over the next 3 years. So that's the type of stuff that, like if you're not going out there talking about it, how do people know about it? Like that. And I also realize that so many people are scared of it, and that's where we come in, because we literally hold your hand through the process. And I've had people that have done tenders. We've, have written a tender and we've overseen it and said, no, you need to take that out. Have all of them been successful? No, because not every tender will, because sometimes there's somebody more who goes for that tender, is more experienced than you, but you always get feedback and you learn what to put in there and then you learn how to change that in some way. So I think everything that we teach has to be something that's going to help somebody. And I think I never had that when I was growing. I wish there had been a me out there when I was growing my business, because I think I would have got there quicker too.
That makes complete sense. It really does. I think there's some great advice in there. So what's next for you? How do you see your personal brand evolving over the next few years? What are you after?
So we've mainly been in the hair and beauty sector, but I've just signed up actually with Will Paulson for his Evolve, and I see myself growing that outside just my sector. So I'm looking at construction, we're looking at digital marketing, we're looking at all of the different sectors that actually need what we need. And there's, like the government have just announced a new foundation, apprenticeships, which have just gone out there, and business owners who are in those sectors can actually get a £2,000 grant per person they put on that. There's so much stuff out there that people don't know about. So for me, it's like, now, okay, I need to make this much more transferable across the whole of the brand. We're a training business predominantly, so we have all of the processes and systems, the compliance, we have all the regulated training. We just need now to map that across to other people's stuff, which I've done with Jessica Crane this year, where we literally mapped her course over to the multi-channel apprenticeship, so she could share that with her audience, and then obviously we do a collaboration together. So the initial fee, you're going to get back tenfold. At the end of the day, she's generated an extra 100k a year to her business by us being able to do that to what she already delivers. Amazing. And those courses would normally be like anything from £10,000 to £15,000 a year, but now she can offer it to her audience for the same amount of money, but it's funded directly from the apprenticeship schemes.
Got it. Oh, amazing stuff. Amazing. If anyone watching or listening hasn't come across you before, where's the best place for them to find you, Sarah?
So you can find me on Instagram under Sarah Abel, Funding Godmother. You can find me on Facebook, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably the best place to find me, which is Sarah Abel, ABEL. Don't do it ABLE, because it's ABL. Or you can go on our website, which is www.tmbskillstraining.co.uk.
Perfect. And we'll pop links to all of those in the show notes to make it super easy for people to find you. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.